My current acceptance rate on Uber is 28%. I have declined 144 of my last 200 requests, and I'm sure a lot of drivers' acceptance rates are even lower. Let's discuss. So back in 2022, before upfront fares were introduced, my acceptance rate was right around 80% on Uber. And with the majority of that 20% of requests that I was declining, it was because the pickup distance was too far. And that was of course the main reason, because we didn't have all the upfront details. We were still getting paid via a rate card. We were getting paid actual time and distance for the on-trip mileage and time. The only info we saw on the accept screen was the rider's pickup location and the distance to that pickup location, the rider's rating, and any surge amounts. Then in March of 2022, here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, we were one of 20 plus new markets that were receiving upfront fares after the program had been piloted in a few markets prior. I personally was excited for this. I was excited to see all those upfront details, see what I was going to get paid, see the distance to the pickup of course, and also see the distance from the pickup location to the drop-off location, and see where that drop-off location is. But they were now calculating the fare upfront. We weren't getting paid actual time and distance for on-trip mileage and time, so I had some concerns. So after my first week with upfront fares back in 2022, I made a video about my initial experience, and in that video I voiced my potential concerns. This could be a way for them to eliminate surge amounts altogether. Sure, we still see that surge amount now, but I think over the long term they may just increase the fare and completely detach those surge amounts, so it's basically less information for the driver. And again, I do love having all this information on the request screen, but I don't like the fact that we no longer know exactly how fares are calculated. It's just less transparent overall. Sure, for this first week my earnings were up 5%, but what will my earnings look like a year from now? Uber can now play with the fares specifically based on driver behavior, and we don't know how they're calculating those fares anymore. I really hope that they don't slowly but surely decrease those upfront fares over time, but that is an outcome I could see from this change. Now that's another thing is, are these upfront fares the same for everybody? One cool experiment to do would be for two drivers in the same city to be in the same room, receive a request, one person declines it, check what the upfront fare was, and see if that next driver gets the same upfront fare. And all of those concerns that I initially voiced back in 2022 when upfront fares were launched, all that manipulation has come to fruition. The disappearance of surge, different upfront fares for different drivers on the same request, also upfront fare amounts decreasing, especially on those longer rides. A lot of those longer rides, the upfront fares for those are terrible. Brass tacks, and we've talked about this on the channel for years now, the upfront fare calculation, the actual calculation of the fare before the ride is even given, that needs to go away. We should be getting paid time and distance for both the pickup distance, the mileage and time to the pickup location, and also the mileage and time from the pickup location to the drop-off location. And one of the main reasons that my acceptance rate is so low in 2024 is because Uber has completely eliminated those Monday through Friday quest bonuses. In years past, when those quest bonuses, when I was trying to achieve those, I would complete a lot of the in-between requests, the shorter requests, because that would get me quicker to that quest bonus. The more of those that I completed, the quicker I would get to that bonus amount. And now with no bonuses available, I have a filtration process with all of my requests. I only accept minimum fare requests that are less than 2.5 miles in total, both the pickup distance and from the pickup to the drop-off. And also I'm only accepting requests that are 10 miles or longer that are paying at least $1 per mile for both pickup distance and drop-off distance. So pretty much every single request that's coming in from 2.5 to 9.5 miles in total, both pickup distance and drop-off distance, I am declining those requests. And yes, when Uber launched upfront fares, they were probably concerned with drivers having filtration processes like mine and declining a majority of requests, but Uber created this environment. For years they were offering us quest bonuses, and now they just pulled those. So if they're not going to offer those anymore, I'm not going to accept those middling requests that aren't paying as well anymore. And really quickly, my acceptance rate on Lyft is 48%, so I'm accepting nearly double the amount of requests on Lyft than I am on Uber. So I have found that the upfront fares are better on Lyft and they are meeting my filtration process, but still a 48% acceptance rate is not good. And yes, it is annoying to have to decline as many requests as I do, especially on Uber and both Lyft in 2024, but that is the current state of play when driving for both of these companies. As we have discussed on the channel for years, ride pricing on both the driver and the passenger side, quite frankly right now, is shit. And I hope many of you have seen it already, but a couple of weeks ago, Sergio and Chris collaborated with More Perfect Union on a fantastic video, and in that video they discuss algorithmic wage discrimination, where the driver app is algorithmically determining upfront fares for different drivers. So different drivers might be getting different upfront fares for the exact same request. And also in that video with More Perfect Union, they discussed how this algorithmic price discrimination could spread across all industries. So essentially us drivers and riders alike are on the front lines of this new algorithmic pricing. Plain and simple, to reiterate, once again, we need to switch back to the rate card, getting paid for our actual time and distance, and get rid of the upfront fare calculation forever. Not only are we going to benefit drivers, but hopefully this benefits other industries by us drivers saying no more of this shit. In recent years, more driver protections and minimum wage laws have been passed in Seattle. That was the start. We recently had one passed here in Minnesota. There's also one that recently passed in Massachusetts. We need to keep this fight going forward. We drivers and workers in general are not asking for everything. We're just asking for a little bit more, a little bit bigger piece of that pie. There is plenty to go around and we deserve it. But what do all of you think? What are your current acceptance rates on both Uber and Lyft? Leave a comment below and let us know. If you've yet to download the Solo app to help you manage your rideshare business and earn more, our referral link will be in the description. We also have a free newsletter and the link to sign up for that is in the description as well. If you've yet to watch my previous video on riders adding stops in the apps after they make a request, be sure to check that one out. Thanks again for watching and drive safe. Thanks.